Hi everyone, this is episode 4 of the Road to National Master series. This is round 4 of the Benjamin Franklin Open. It is December 22nd, 2024, and currently entering round 4, I have point five out of 3, and I'm trying to turn it around. And so far, I've been playing high rated opponents, and it's been a journey so far. I'm now homeless. We don't have a hotel room now, so I'm just in one of the lobby areas. And so, apologies for the bad lighting and for the different setup. So, hopefully, I'm able to sync the audio and the video well enough for this, but we'll find out. Okay, that being said, let's just hop into it. Apparently, my opponent I've actually played before. And just like the last time I played him, I screwed up out of the opening really badly. So let's just hop into it. He played the two knights. I'm not unfamiliar with the two knights. I play after queen e2. Of course, there's this famous trap, knight bd7 and checkmate. Don't fall for checkmate. But the way I play, I just take once and put one knight on d7 and put on f6, kicking the queen. Usually, the most common thing I see is bishop c4, and after knight here, knight e5, threatening checkmate in one with the knight and bishop, and after black defends, the queen goes back, and b5, and the game goes on for a while. But that's the most common thing I see. Instead, he played d4 and went to queen f4. Apparently, we had this exact same opening before. I just didn't remember it, which is kind of sad. I think it was in the October 2023 Eastern Chess Congress. So apparently, I played him and also got a bad position then. So that's kind of bad on me. I think that was one of my worst tournaments ever. That Eastern Chess Congress. So maybe that's why I tried to forget about it. But I wish I did not forget about it because I also got a bad position. I played bishop g4. I know I wasn't. How should I put this? Like I thought for a long time before bishop g4, the alternative move, knight d5, also made sense too. Kicking the queen. I wasn't sure where the queen was going to go. But maybe this is the best move here. Just asking questions. Maybe queen g3. But maybe I can just go g6 and bishop g7 if there. Actually, the more I look at knight d5 on the board, I actually think this is better because maybe I just go g6 next. Yeah, and if this... Actually, I don't know. I'll have to look at it. How bad is f6 here? I don't know. Anyways. But I didn't do that. I calculated for a long time on bishop g4. I was calculating lots of things like knight e5, and here, and immediately g4 and h4. I concluded I was okay here because of bishop e4, and if you play c4, something like this. Maybe this is dumb, but I thought I was okay. So I calculated things like that. I calculated g4 and then bishop c4. And so now if you play h4 and I go here, now you have checkmate. But then I was like, okay, I have e6 though. And I can still go here and here. So those are kind of the two main things I was calculating. I was calculating other things too, like immediately bishop c4, that type of stuff. What I did not calculate was queen h4, which is crazy. If you played this in a game against me like a year and a half ago, then wow, I can't believe I forgot it. I ended up playing queen d5 though, and I was actually very happy to see this resource. I think I thought on queen d5 for a while because I wasn't sure if I should play e6 first, and if g4 I can take here, pinning the pawn. I thought this might be okay, but what made me dismiss the idea of after e6, let's say bishop e3, defending the pawn. So now he can play g4 without me taking and pinning the pawn to the queen. Now, queen d4 and f3, I will end up having to play bishop g6 after he plays g4, and he'll end up like, okay, let's say I do something like castles, for example. He can play g4. This pawn's guarded by the knight, and here and take, and I can't take here because of the pin. He would take my rook for free, and if I take like this, well, maybe you just castle. Honestly, I'm not sure. Or maybe you defend your pawn. Maybe he doesn't even have to play f3, to be honest. Not sure. Yeah, not sure if you should play, but I was scared of this, or something like c4. Oh no, yeah, c4, and then bishop e3, things like that. I didn't feel very happy about. So I would try to go queen d5 immediately. I know I'm probably behind in development, but I thought this is fine, probably. Yeah, I mean, after queen trade, I mean. He plays c4. I go here, and he has to trade queens. Now he plays g4, which makes sense. And what I didn't realize was that this position is already losing. Before the game started, or not before the game started, sorry. In this position, queen d5 and c4, the game's already lost. This is a very good opening, actually. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, wow, this is actually such a good opening, because it's very anti-Caro-Kann. Like, for example, like, apparently this whole bishop g4 thing is bad. I haven't checked the engine on how bad it is, but it's bad. It's not good for black, that's for sure. And so you're basically telling a Caro-Kann player that they can't do the move they always want to do, which is move the bishop out and try to trade it off. So it's kind of trappy, because I felt like I played natural moves, but it lost because, so this is all forcing, well, yeah, because I only have one move. The knight guards the pawn. I have to go back. But after bishop g2, well, he's starting to take the bishop, and after I take back, take the knight. So I move the knight back. Already here, he can sacrifice on c6. Or, yeah, and if I take, then check, and he wins my rook. So he decides to go c5. Here, I honestly was not even thinking about the c6 sacrifice, because I was just trying to survive. I was actually thinking about knight f6. But after h4, this looks pretty dicey. But even here, it doesn't even need to do that. He can just take on c6. But this is probably even better, to be honest, because something like this, bishop's kind of trapped. But maybe I have enough time for h6, and I can go here. And if I maybe king here, and if I did go back here, then here, so the bishop is just trapped. So I was scared of the bishop being trapped, and I don't want to go h6 because of how bad the pawn structure is. But at this point, the pawn structure doesn't matter because I'm trying to survive. So maybe but anyways, so I was losing because of the knight c6. Knight takes c6 sacrifice here, which I didn't see until he played it. And I was pretty demoralized because I didn't make it out of the opening again. It's my second time in the tournament not even making it out of the opening, which was kind of sad. But it is what it is. I just have to try to keep pieces on the board and see if I can make a fight. I play f6. And so he's up one pawn right now, and he has a monster light squared bishop. I would like to play king d7, but I just thought, why am I I guess maybe this was a way to go. Put my king on c7 and just play down a pawn like this. The more I look at it, the more I like it. Honest, d5 looks really scary because of e6 to d6. It looks really, really scary. But this position is just bad. I'm just down a pawn in the worst way possible. Zero negative compensation, honestly. So I'm just down a pawn. And yeah, but so I ended up going knight c7, or I'm going f6 to prevent knight e5. So his knight doesn't have a good square anymore, which was my idea. And he goes knight a5. So he's going for the second pawn. There's no way for me to defend it. I was calculating for a long time b6, not a long time, but I was calculating b6, and just like giving up the exchange like this, and I was like, ugh, I'm down a rook, but he has an isolated pawn. He's kind of overextended, and I have the bishop pair still. Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna lose this game, but hey, at least I can claim I have something. Was kind of my idea, but I decided, you know what? No, I'm just gonna play down 2 pawns. I still have chances here. Just keep fighting. So e5, pawn knight takes. Not sure what was better, if it was bishop takes, um, or knight takes. Um, I think bishop takes was pretty good. And doing something like this. Oh no, no, no. That blunders the bishop. I forgot. Bleh. Um, I can see why he didn't do it. Planting your bishop here. Hi everyone. This is future Nathan. Unfortunately, the audio from my phone cut out after this point, so we'll be finishing the recap with this voiceover from me in the future. From me in the future. Yeah, at this point, I was calculating variations where where if I didn't move the rook from a8, then the bishop on that long diagonal would take it. So that's why I played rook b8, just get out of any discoveries. Also, with the rook on a8, my knight on c7 was the only thing guarding it, so my knight was tied down. Anyways, so after rook b8, bishop f4 happens. I think it was a really good move to try to open up the position more. And of course, if I take on f4, well, as you can see on the board, there's the I'm just losing material, even more material, I should say. Or maybe not. I forgot about that variation. Oh yeah, I guess he could just play knight d6 and. Oh, this looks so bad though. I'm basically losing more material soon, it feels like. Yeah, he throws in that bishop check. I think it was a useful check because it made me decide where to move my king, and now I definitely can't castle. I was very proud of this move, bishop d3, and not taking the pawn naturally. I think it was a much better move just to go bishop d3. Cutting off the rook from going to f1. The bishop on f4 is blunted by its own pawn. And yeah, I was very happy with knight a6. After the game, my opponent said that he missed knight a6 and how strong it was. I actually don't think knight a6 was like that strong. I honestly think he should have just gone bishop d2 and maybe castled. And even, yeah, like honestly, I think maybe he can castle there and maybe he's fine. But maybe he doesn't have to castle. I think I'm going to go over bishop d2, yes, and bishop c3. I definitely think that was a very good option for him. I think playing like that was the simplest way, but he goes for the more active approach. I like this move, king e6, blocking the bishop, blocking the pawn from advancing with check, attacking my rook on b8. So king e6, blocking it. So I was very happy about that move. Yeah, in this I was just showing a variation where if I give up my rook on b8, I lose way too much material for it, and it's definitely not worth it. I go king e6, and it's not so easy to not lose all your pawns. Yes, yes, you always have to calculate things like bishop d7, checking the king, forcing it to no longer blockade the pawn on e5, and bam, yep, on the board, the bishop scope opens up again, and the rook is undefended. So that's one thing I was calculating. Luckily, I always have the knight before check. So if he did take my bishop on d3, I have knight before check, winning the bishop back. And I was happy with this trade. I mean, I know I'm still losing, but I'm relatively happy here, and I can't really complain. And yes, I do have to be careful about winning my pawns. If I try to win my pawns back too quickly, I could get myself into some bad pins. So he did not play king takes d3. And yeah, here I was just talking about how I think it would have been better if we went bishop d2 and control that diagonal, so knight b4 can never happen. I think something like this, where he's still 2 pawns up, would have been great for him. So instead he plays king d2 and eventually rook a3. So I play bishop e7, connecting my rooks, and he plays rook a3. That's his move. I thought that was an interesting way to activate your rook. I play knight b4 now, attacking the bishop. Yeah, if he takes my bishop, I'm not taking back. I'm taking on c6. And I would be happy about that position. If that bishop trade, and then the knight moves, and I can take on b2 with check, and I would really like my chances there. If he took my bishop with his rook. But instead, he moves his bishop back to f3, and I move my bishop back. And I was very happy with the amount of counterplay I had and how activated my pieces were. That pawn's weak. So here I'm explaining why I think he wanted to put his knight on d6 instead of the corner on a5, because it protects the c5 pawn. But I do go knight back to d5, and I have a double threat. I'm attacking the f4 bishop, and I'm attacking the b2 pawn. So he ends up giving up his light squared bishop, and hey, I have the bishop pair. I am down 3 pawns, but I think his pawns are kind of overextended, and I do end up taking the one on c5. And one thing I was trying to be aware of in this position was that he can sacrifice 2 or 3 pawns if that means he gets a mating attack. I do have to be aware of that. But as you will see later in the game, I was not vigilant enough. And in the last moments of the game, I still had at least 10 minutes on the clock, probably. Maybe less, but I definitely got a bit too lazy. Don't remember quite what I was talking about here. I was yapping about something. I do end up taking. He plays rook d1, and I play bishop e2, attacking the pawn and attacking the rook. Yes, the rook d1 was really nice because I cannot take and try to go into an opposite colored bishop endgame, which is usually drawn because I'm in a mating net. After bishop takes d6 and rook takes d6, my king cannot move, as you'll see on the board here. I'm drawing arrows and highlighting that the king is stuck in the center of the board. So that's why I do not take the knight. I play bishop e2. So I thought that was a very nice move by him. And he plays rook d4. I was thinking for a long time in this position. And I really wanted to play king c6. But I was also calculating bishop takes g4. And I think I'll be drawing arrows soon. But I kind of dismissed king c6, even though it felt like the king was much safer on c6. And also, it pins the knight to the rook on a3. Like the rook on a3, rook a3 felt like a good move when he played it, but the rook actually is a little bit misplaced on a3. It's kind of odd. Like, it's sort of out of the game, but it can get back in pretty easily if the king moves back. And yeah, I mean, like, the main thing I was concerned about if I played king c6 is what if he just plays h3? He plays it slowly. I'm not really quite sure what I'm doing. I'm still down 2 pawns. I thought he would just move his pieces, and I wasn't really sure what I was doing here. So that's why I went for the more active move. And there I was talking about after king c6, then I was going to go rook h c8. So then if knight takes my rook, my bishop can take his rook. But then I was showing on the board that after rook h c8, he could go rook a1. So he gets out of the pin, I get out of the pin, and the game goes on. It feels like he has more space. I mean, with that e5 pawn, he definitely has more space. And he's still up to 2 pawns, so it just was very unpleasant. The idea of just playing this endgame felt unpleasant. So that's why I took on g4. And originally, I thought I had the d7 square or the c8 square. And yeah, I can't go to e6 because it's actually checkmate. So the rook c4 check, that was a double check. Because the rook is checking and the bishop is checking. And I realized just how bad the move was. Bishop takes g4, taking that pawn. I'm only down 1 pawn now, but oh my gosh. My king's in a double check position. My bishop is hanging, and no matter where I put my bishop, it's going to be lost. So yeah, if I go bishop d7, which was one of my ideas, then b4, b5, king, if the king moves, then check, and that bishop on d7 is lost. And, yep. And if I stay back, so after b5, king c7, then actually sacrificing the pawn, because if I take with the king, the knight check, and he'll win the bishop, I think. And if I take with the pawn, then there's check, and check. And yeah, it's not looking too pretty, to be honest. I guess I could go back to c7. I forgot why I thought this was lost. Doesn't look that bad. And the rook is hanging. Yes, rook c7 check. But I forgot the rook on a3 was hanging. Even in my analysis in this exact position, I completely forgot. Although it looks like I'm being checkmated actually, because the king has to go on the a file, and rook a7 would be checkmate. So actually, okay, I'm glad I didn't play it because that would be another checkmate for him. But yeah, I play rook c8, bishop c8 instead. Yeah, it's just as losing as all the other moves because he takes my bishop. And, my other bishop is hanging. So if I go king c6, it's going to take on e7 with his knight, with check. I actually thought he was going to win a piece, but I completely forgot that he just has simply checkmate, as we'll see me put on the board very shortly. Yep, rook d6 checkmate, very fancy mate. And yeah, it's a well-deserved win by him. Like I said earlier in the video, I was very sad not to even make it out of the opening. I am very proud of myself for how much I fought. I think coming up, playing bishop d3 and playing this position down 3 pawns and just fighting and trying to stay in the game. I think when we'll see the game review show up shortly, I think we will see that I did actually have some chances. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. And yeah, that was the end of round 4. I end this round with 0.5 out of 4. Definitely my worst performance for 4 rounds ever. But I still had one more round to go. And just looking forward to the next one. And I'm sure here I'll start the game review very, very shortly.